What's up, everybody? We are back again. I think this is like day 15, day 16. Who's counting? Not me. Never do. Never will. But as you can tell, Olivia's getting in her, I don't want to say horror, her bicep curls in, right? So really having an emphasis this year, growing the tubers, growing the bicepers, right? So she's doing my workout right now, getting a little buff. Going to, I think we did this first set of the video, we're going to failure pretty much, just putting a little extra effort in there. We had an experience today where we worked out with some other bodybuilding friends of ours, and I basically just realized I'm just taking it too easy on myself, right? I got to go a lot harder if I'm going to have any chance of winning my competition in May. It's like the beginning of May. So I'm doing biceps right now. Started off with the 60s, which I typically don't start off with 60s. I think the 60s. You see the 60s or 50s, which is not like a crazy amount of weight, but I typically don't start there. I like to warm up a little bit more. But this time, we're going to have to go a little bit more. So put a little extra effort in there, and then hopefully that will, actually definitely will showcase off in the gains, being a little bit more ready and equipped for the competition. So how were your sets feeling?
They were feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot more growth as well that I can do in my arms. Like, I always think about how you said when you were growing your chest, you didn't feel it. Sometimes that's how I feel with my biceps. Like, I don't feel it.
Yeah, she's referencing a story like when I first started lifting, like it's crazy. Like I was like 150 pounds and I had no chest at all. And I had some friends who were like, hey, come to the gym with us. And I was like, sure. So I was doing bench press and I was like, am I doing it right? He was like, oh yeah, your form is good. I was like, I don't feel any movement. I don't feel any contracting. I don't feel anything. And he like looked me dead in my face and he was like, because you have no muscle. And I was like, well, how do I get muscle? He was like, literally just do this over and over and over and trust the process. And one day you will start to feel muscle there moving as you're doing it. And I remember being in such disbelief. I was like, no, there's got to be some other secret, or maybe maybe it doesn't work for me. Maybe like if I eat a bunch and I work out really hard, like I just don't have the ability to grow muscle because I was I was stick skinny. But hey, it worked. It worked, right? We're buff now. We're 211 pounds, 6 foot. I wouldn't say I'm over 8 or 9% body fat. So we're sitting pretty lean, pretty sizable, but the goal is 220 at 220, 225, but the goal is to be on stage at like 195, maybe even 190, just see-through, peeled, and shredded. That is the goal. I know you don't have any goals about competing, but do you have any body goals?
Basically, I just want Hawaiian roll abs and a big fat ass.
Hawaiian roll abs. That is a visual.
And a big fat ass.
Can't forget about that. On the last video, your abs are definitely sticking out for sure. And like that's something that a lot of people don't know is like you build your best looking abs during your bulk. You build them when you can't see them. And I know that's like, I would personally think that's one of the hardest parts about fitness is building abs when you have a layer of fat over them. Because you're like, bro, I don't see it. I don't feel like doing the abs. I don't have any abs. I'm fat. This. But you realize like if that's how your body functions best, which it does, so macros wise, your fats help you build muscle. So when you're super lean, you don't build muscle as fast or as efficiently as if you have fat in your diet and if you have more fat on your body. So basically my last bodybuilding coach was saying like prime fat, prime body fat, prime muscle building territory is around like 9 to like 13% body fat for a dude, a little bit more for a woman. But if you keep a layer of fat on you as you're in your off season, then you will be gaining muscle a lot more efficiently, effectively. And I think that I personally don't do that because I already have body dysmorphia. Let's just be real. Most of us do, but my body dysmorphia is like I absolutely hate how I look with fat on my body. Might have to get some therapy on it at some point. Who knows? But I like to maintain no more than like an 8% body fat. And I build decent muscle doing that. Obviously, I don't know if it's going to be enough to win the next competition. It was enough to get second in my last competition, and I would have got first. I was much bigger and more in shape, definitely leaner than everybody, and my posing was better. May have been some politics involved, who knows, but we have to make it too big to rig, So that's part of the goal. And I think I'm getting a pimple here. What's going on with all that? Anyway, you see it?
Well, that's like a little stress bump.
I'm not stressed at all. Anyway, how do these skull crushers do for you? This is a good angle for you.
They were burning.
Yeah.
It felt good. I think I was sore for like 2 days after this.
This was yesterday.
Oh, then I'm thinking of a different day. Yeah. But it felt good.
Yeah. So we definitely flex our abs like really hard as you're doing the skull crushers. That's another thing that my bodybuilding coach was telling me. He's like, if you're just flexing, when you're like, if you're just like trying to lock in your abs when you're flexing, then it makes it way harder to keep it tight the whole time. So on stage, you're supposed to be flexing the whole time. And that's very hard to do if you're not well practiced. So what we do is every single workout, I am tightening my abs as hard as possible. Legs, arms, shoulders, back, triceps, arms, doesn't matter what it is, I'm flexing the dog shit out of my abs. So then when it comes time for competition, it's way easier for me to hold that flex ab position, and I'll look less fatigued next to everybody who has not been as well practiced, which is also the key to bodybuilding is your posing, right? Like you have to be big, you have to be in shape, sure, but what will kill your placing fastest is if you're not well rehearsed, well practiced in posing. And if you guys are any fans of bodybuilding, you've seen a video of some dude trying to hold a pose and he's like shaking and breathing and he's not holding his core tight and all this stuff, and then you see the judges like, okay, number 42 and number 47 switch, and he's no longer in contention because he's not well versed. Like that is such a big, if not the biggest part of bodybuilding, is the actual posing. There's been massive people who have lost next to smaller people because the smaller person posed better. Also, conditioning plays a role. And this thing is getting huge. As I'm talking, I see it growing. I have to get this checked out. You see it?
It's definitely a stress bump.
I'm not stressed at all.
Something is.
So I'm stressed. Anyway, you do some talking as I de-stress.
I like what you're saying. Like, basically, if you can't show off your muscles well, then what's the point of having them? Like, he gets on me when I like try and pose because you're teaching your muscles where to go incorrectly. Mm-hmm. So it's like shaping them falsely. So like good posing shows that you also have good mind muscle or mind body connection, and you know how that muscle looks best.
Yes. So one thing about, obviously building muscle is genetic. But also how you show your muscles off also impacts how your muscles sit. And this might be a little bit of a bro science, right? So if you're doing these tricep overhead extensions and you're just doing them normal, and then you go home and then everything's fine, whatever, and that's part of your circuit, like you're going to build triceps and you're going to look great doing it. But if you sit there and really flex hard, deep, and you flex it really hard and deep everywhere, and you really practice flexing it and posing and stuff like that, it causes your muscles to sit way deeper. It causes the muscle to like dig in more. It's going to cause you to look more shredded, more condensed, more striated. And that's why bodybuilders, like obviously leanness plays a big role in that, of course, like the amount of leanness you are. But I'm sure you've seen shows where somebody was relatively the same lean, but maybe when somebody flexed a bicep, actually I might even be able to show you, to be honest. Like my right bicep is way deeper than my left. Let me go ahead and show you. Forget it, let's show you guys. Oh shit. Let me show you guys. Right, so we're lean. So look at my bicep. It sits really deep, obviously there's bright lights. Really deep, you see the cuts. Very defined. All muscles are separated. You can see it. I'm going to flex it the exact same way on the left hand. You see how there's not that extra one on top, not as deep down here, not as separated. They're the same size. I measured them the exact same size, but I don't practice my left side deep enough, so it's not sitting, and I can flex it harder. And you can see it kind of getting deeper. For a visual, look how much more defined it is. Now you see, hey, can't refute facts. It's right in your face. That's what it looks like. So I'll just leave the hoodie off.
Right in my face.
You feel it?
Yeah.
Right in your face. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's real life over here. So I'm giving you the secrets. Really sit and control and flex and hold it there. And when you're doing stuff, like hold it so it causes the striations to sit a little deeper. Triceps, sit a little harder, sit a little deeper. Like, you can really tell the amount of intention behind what you're doing to see how, I mean, when you're seeing like the distance between like the cutness of each part of your limbs, right? So obviously it's cool to do double-handed movements. Like I'm using two hands on these tricep extensions. That's excellent. That's great. But single arm, very slow controlled flex and holds really give you that symmetry that you're looking for if you're looking for to be on stage. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Have you seen any distance or distinctions in your body versus what you do?
Oh yeah, like in terms of like flexing and posing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I've seen a lot more ab strength in like flexing my abs during each workout, or just doing like in between sets, like flexing my abs intentionally. It used to be like really difficult to have my abs flex during a whole workout.
Mm-hmm.
Or
do you see any like
general
better like cuts in your body? Do you think like you're lopsided? Do you think like your right side is a little bit more defined than your left side? Have you seen a differentiation between like focusing on like single arms, double arms, anything like that? Maybe like single leg, like lunges or something like that.
I've seen like I'm stronger on a certain leg. I can't remember which leg or which arm, but one of them is stronger than the other. Like I can do like 18 reps versus like 10 on the other one. In terms of looks, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that and actually like look at my arms. Yep,
we're gonna have to make some progress on that. I think because today we did, so I'm filming, so typically we film our videos and then we do commentary the same day. Yesterday we didn't do that, so I'm doing commentary today. We just finished up a leg workout, which we will post tomorrow, and that one we were very intentional. We didn't do a lot of filming on that because we were working with our friends, like we mentioned, bodybuilding friends, but we got enough to showcase a little bit of what we did. But tomorrow I think it's gonna be either a back day or shoulder day, so we'll make sure to be intentional about using single arm things, really looking at the symmetry, because like my left shoulder sticks out a little bit more than my right side, so I'm gonna have to focus a lot more on that twist, getting this specific part of the shoulder to stick out more, and that's done through side laterals, right? Side laterals, you can even see how it's separating right there, right? So we're going to focus a lot more on that and less on this side, because you can even see how defined it is even through the tattoo. That's what we're going to focus on a lot during our next session. So you guys will be kind of educated, because I know a lot of coaches and a lot of like people are like, just keep working both of your muscles together and eventually they will even out. But if we're talking about a competition in 6 months, you need to do more on those side that's smaller, just period, point blank. You have to do more, especially if there's like a big discrepancy. Like I need to work out my left arm a little bit more than my right because of how defined it is down here versus not being over here. So, and some of it could be genetic, right? Some of it is like water weight. Some of it is, maybe my right arm is a little leaner than my left, and then if I cut weight, they will be more symmetrical. That's cool. But yeah, that's kind of what we're facing right now, right? So we're a little over halfway through the video, and what we like to do is we like to break things in sections, right? So the next section that we're talking about, because I'm a realtor and a loan officer in all 50 states. So we kind of always go over like what's going on in the market, trends, insights, or even just like advice that happens, right? So what we've really been noticing, because we're heavy on social media, the Face of Dual Licensing on IG, you can find me there. Heavy on social media, I've been realizing like a lot of like realtor professionals, because we take time to train other realtors, train loan officers how to be successful in what they do, I really realized there's like a lack of quality. No disrespect, no disrespect. There's like a lack of quality. Like, and I watched a video earlier today that really articulated it well, and it was the interview with Stephen Baldwin on PBD's podcast we watched today, and he was saying basically the same thing that's happening in movies is happening in all industries. So what he was saying is the barrier of entry, the barrier for quality, the amount of movies that were being made, picture it like it's a tunnel. And the tunnel was very narrow, right? So there was only so many movies that could get through to being processed. And typically the movies that made it through were the ones, as I'm wearing my Sweeney Todd shirt. We do a lot of musical theater over here. I do sing. My last song got the top 40 on iTunes. Shameless plug. But the barrier, like, used to be good movies could only make it through because there's only so much funding for a movie, right? So we have, back in the day, he was saying Jerry Maguire, amazing movie. Top Gun, amazing movie. Mission Impossible, these are Tom Cruise movies, like, that made it through the small entrance barrier of entry for good quality movies. But now, everybody has a top quality camera. Netflix is a platform that spends $4 to $6 billion every year on just creating movies. Apple TV, Paramount Plus, everything. So the tunnel is no longer this small, it's extremely wide. So as the tunnel is wide, we're looking for things to fill in the space. We're looking for things to just pass through the tunnel, which ultimately causes the quality to decrease. And this is not like a new subject for you guys. Like, anybody who's ever turned on the radio, anybody who's ever opened up Spotify, opened up SoundCloud, understands this concept. Like, there are no Michael Jacksons, there are no Celine Dion's anymore because the barrier of entry was so hard to get in. You had to be tremendous to get any type of studio time, radio play, accolades, attention. You had to be overwhelmingly talented, and now that's no longer the case, right? For good and bad reasons, of course. Like, I don't think that it's bad that everybody has a microphone. I don't think it's bad that everybody has a podcast. Like, I guess you can consider this a podcast, but I treat it more like a diary. Like, like, although I have this in a format where I'm sharing content with you guys, it's also like a timestamp for us personally as we're going through our life, as we're working on our fitness journey. We're filming our workouts as an accountability partner, a visible accountability partner. So we know, everybody watching knows that if we do not get in shape by May 1st, what an embarrassing failure, right? So anyway, quick subject change. So basically, when it comes to like the quality of realtors, in my state, Colorado, there's about 300,000 realtors, and the majority of them are starting to get on social media. And they're starting to get on social media because they understand that there is a lane for realtors on social media. Great. Okay. People do need help buying houses and writing contracts. No problem. But then you start to realize that there's so much content out there that to keep up, you have to put out a lot of content. And if you're not a content specialist, if you're not an idea creative, if your DNA is not creativity and innovation, you're just putting out dog shit, to be honest, right? So that's kind of what we noticed. So what we're personally doing to make sure we don't fall into any type of rut when it comes to, also, first of all, the lighting, beautiful. The flies, excellent form. Anyway, so what we're doing as realtor, loan officer, managers, and practicing what we preach, we're not posting anything realtor related, anything loan officer related outside of these vlogs for the next 30 days, basically until January. So we've already started in December to re-engage our creativity, to re-engage our love for content and sharing and being in community, being in fellowship, and actually entertaining people, which is what social media is supposed to be. Like, we're here to laugh. It's supposed to be fun. Like, I'm not an infomercial. I don't feel like selling you a sham wow every Monday at 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. Like I don't see myself as a product placement ass nigga, right? To be honest. So what we're doing is taking some time away to understand how can we best service, how can we best entertain, how can we best inform, and as a straight business model, how can we do something sustainable, right? That stays engaging. And I think that that's a good, proper perspective to have in business. And it's not really my opinion. I think if Blockbuster had decided to do that, maybe they'd be around. And Netflix wouldn't have, if Netflix wouldn't have came in and swooped. And I think there's a lot of different examples of businesses that refuse to take a step back and innovate, and they're no longer here. There's a lot of businesses currently that are not understanding that is what needs to be done. Evolution, adaptation, the industry is changing. How is AI going to affect what we do, right? And people overwhelmingly, even this is my big argument, people overwhelmingly right now, I believe, are hungry for greatness, are hungry for true, exceptional people, advice, how-to videos, motivation, workout content, anything. They're looking for something exceptional, which leads me to my next point. Boy, I know it's well done, well documented. It's pretty much at the end of it. But this Drake-Kendrick thing has really opened my eyes that there's a whole subgenre, subsection of individuals, as I'm doing these beautiful bench presses. This is very cinematic. I like it. There's a whole subgenre of people who genuinely think that Kendrick Lamar is better than Drake. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Because the majority of people, I do truly believe, are hungry for exceptionalism, over the top. They're hungry for authenticity. They're hungry for something. And the truth is that Drake has been the song of the summer for like 15 years. And now there's a whole genre of haters who are acting like he hasn't been running things. Acting like everybody in the club wasn't doing this. I don't have to tell you, I don't have to hum the song. I don't have to do anything, and everybody knows what song this is. And they're acting like he had bots, like his streams were fake. Like every time you go out to a club that they don't play Drake, that I imagined it. So I don't know how I wanted to segue into that, but just know, overall, I'm disappointed. Disappointed in all the bandwagoners. We're talking somebody who's on a Michael Jackson list. We're no longer talking about a rapper. We're talking about a generational top 10 person who has literally written music. Literally, we're not talking about singing. We're not talking about writing. We're not talking about performance. We're talking about all the above, and he's in the top 10 list of all of them. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Like, okay, you could not like that, not like us. Okay, you love it. It's excellent. Whatever. But I don't even know how to, I'm like so baffled. It's like making me sweat. Like, I'm so in love with the truth, and all I've been seeing is a lot of lies. So, as we're talking about doing your best, being exceptional, I guess we can say that sometimes there are cracks in the foundation. Sometimes there are loopholes. I don't know. What do you think? Like, I can't even figure out how to tie this in, because it just got me so upset. This Drake Kendrick thing. What is your take on it?
I think, like you said, you're in love with the truth. And I think sometimes there's a fine line between in people's minds between the truth and opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the deviation is. Like, you can have an opinion that Kendrick's song was better. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's your opinion. But statistically, or like factually, who's the better artist?
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at the numbers, like the facts behind it.
Yeah. So I guess we'll leave you with this. At the end of the day, this is the biggest indication that you can be anything you want to be. There is a crowd for whatever you bring. There are ways for you can do anything that you want to do, and don't let anything stop you, because whether you're Drake or Kendrick, there's an audience for both. Whether you're the best or not, whatever. I guess